Good afternoon, folks, and thanks for joining us again. I'm Steve Burns with Crawford Software. Today we'll be learning and sharing some new features and functions of Epicor ERP 10.2 Finance. And I'm joined with today's presenter, Linda Ballard, one of Crawford Software's senior Epicor financial consultants. Say hi, Linda.
Good morning or good afternoon, whatever the case may be.
So, folks, just a little housekeeping. If you do have a question, there's a question box at the bottom or the chat feature at the bottom of your box as well. Feel free to ask any question, and Linda will field the question at the end of the session. So while some folks are still logging in, I'll just give you a little background on Crawford Software. We've been implementing ERP solutions for over 25 years and have been an Epicor partner for over 10 years. We work with clients as a trusted advisor, giving you as much information as we can to help you make informed decisions about which ERP solution is the best fit for your needs, both for today as well as for the long term. Our 35 consultants are trained to teach you the best way to use Epicor to drive efficiencies within your operations that ultimately drive costs down and profits up. So on that note, I will turn it over to Linda Ballard for some features and functions of ERP 10.2 Finance. Linda, pass.
Thank you, Steve. And as I said, good morning or afternoon, whichever the case may be, depending on what part of the States you're in. Yes, today we're going to cover some of the new financial features and functionality in 10.2. There's quite a few, and it's pervasive throughout the Epicor system. This is intended to be a high-level overview. We're not going to go into great detail, and I've only selected a few different areas that we'll just hit on so you get a feel for some of the new features. Now, some of those, I'm not going to list them all for you, include asset addition, cash management, legal numbers. We have mass void of credit card authorities, system setup for a time zone, VAT tax, GL transaction types, and much, much more. This is in the financial area that we'll be covering today, and we are going to address legal numbers and the cash management module, which does include now petty cash, and you can set up a petty cash desk. And then we're going to just touch lightly on the general ledger and the transaction types. For those of you that are in the financial arena, you may be a controller or a finance manager. So let's just look at some of the change highlights for the legal number numbering standardization. There's alternative ways that we can look at the transactions, and some countries do require controls so that you have the proper sequence, so there's not any gaps in any of the numbering of your legal numbers. A lot of you, if you have been using legal numbers in the older versions of Epicor, will know that we have for a long time had the capability for the AR invoicing to have the legal number match the AR invoice itself. This goes far beyond that in its capabilities on 10.2. The legal numbers, like I said, can be pinpointed in any areas, order management, inventory, your production management, even your handheld modules. So we will be looking at some of the standard functionality where you get the availability to do reporting and keep logs, and you have the ability now to do manual or automatic legal number processing. So, as I just said, you can do the automatic or manual legal number generation. Along with this, you're going to want to do the financial generation of documents, because the document type maintenance is going to define the different document types that you need to use to link to your legal numbers. And then, of course, I mentioned we have the void possibility and the change history possibility. Those are added features. So we can add legal numbers in our financial areas to things like AP invoices, of course, the AR invoice, promissory notes, and most of the different system types will be supported by the legal number functionality. So let's take a look at adding a new legal number. Well, where would I go in the system? How would I start with this in the financial area of 10.2? You want to go to your financial management, general ledger, setup, new, and new legal number. And there you can assign whatever legal number as your base that you would like to have. You're going to assign your legal number type, and I made a screen print of the drop down. As you can see, you have several selections here, and we're going to use the good old AR invoice as part of what I'm discussing today. So you can use pre-number formats, and let's take a look now at some of the detail. So when we go to do legal number generation, we can do the manual legal number generation, or we can do the automatic. But in both cases, you're going to do setup. So you want to go to general ledger setup, legal number, and assign your legal number. In this particular example, I've just numbered it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the number type, AR invoices. My description is AR invoice legal number. I have highlighted the checkbox here to show you that I have checked it off. I want to look at my change history. This may be valuable because you may have changed your mind about how you're going to format. And anytime I add, change, edit in some manner, then I'm going to have this in my history, in my log. The generation type in this case is going to be automatic, and I want to save on generate, or when I generate it, I want to save at that time. You can do it at the time of posting. You can generate at the time of printing. In this case, I selected save. So the number options are, well, when do I want to display this? And I want to display the number after generation. After I have generated the number, I want to allow prefixes by site if that's necessary for your business. And I want to allow to still change this even after I've printed. Excuse me. I jumped too fast there to the next slide. So one of the really neat features is that you can use a prefix type based on your journal codes. And for financial people, we're always looking at our journals. And this is really, I think, a good thing to be able to do. I want to look at my sales journal, or I want to know when I look at my legal number that it has to do with the sales journal. So I am going to select that for my prefix type. And then if you look over on the right-hand side of the slide, you'll see that here's where I have some formatting that I can do, and out of my available elements, I'll select the ones that I want to use for my formatting. So what I've done is I've said I want a sequence length of 2, and for my fiscal year, I want to use a 4-digit format. So in this case, it'd be 2018. And I'm going to align the fiscal period length to 2 and things of that nature. Excuse me. So you have a lot of options. If you look in the box at the bottom of the screen, the right-hand bottom of the screen, you'll see that the formatted legal number sample will be displayed, and it is giving me SJ 2018-12-12, and the length is okay. So I have a verification that I haven't exceeded the maximum length of 30. And just one other note, on the detail screen, we have options where we can sequence, and how are we going to go about sequencing, and what fiscal calendar are we going to be using. And then I've also decided I want to check the box for automatic voiding, and then you can enter any free text there you would like to describe the reason for doing your voiding of the legal number. So I just entered incorrectly. Okay, so before we move on to the next slide, I just want to point out here some of the other tabs. You'll see that it'll show you the list view, as it does in so many places throughout Epicor. We always have our detailed screen, and then we have our list view, and we have our default sequence. And if you want to set up an alternate prefix, you can do that. Our document type, we're going to look at that in the next slide, and the change history. Well, and if you click on that in Epicor, it'll show you all the changes that have been made. So on our next slide, it's important to note that you are going to have to go into system configuration to set up the assigned document type. So it'll be available when you're back in the setup for the legal number. In this case, my document type is for accounts receivable invoice. So I did go into company configuration and make sure that I had this available and it was selected so that it does show up in my document types. And on the left-hand side, I have a list of the transaction document types. Some have already been entered by the system. And as you can see, I've highlighted the AR invoice because that's the one that I'm using in my example here. I also highlighted one that I added myself. LHBP cash is the ID, and the description is LHB petty cash. So you can set up your own as well. And then you can see the others that are listed here as part of the system, the packing slip and promissory note, etc. So moving along, I want to touch on cash management. In financial management, cash management setup, there is quite a list of the different things you can do. Some of them are from previous versions. It's not anything new, but you will see here now that you have things like legal number, and what I wanted to point out today is you have the petty cash desk. And here we can create a petty cash document, and a lot of companies need to have this as an additional requirement by several different government organizations. You do need a license for this if you decide you want to use it. So let's take a look. What do I need to do if I want to use the petty cash management system? Well, I'm going to go to the cash management, petty cash, and set up the detail. On the detail screen, my cash desk is going to be established. My ID is Linda. I could have a number. You can decide what is going to be meaningful for your organization. And then I named it, and I'm going to do a soft close. So I can do a hard close as well and name the location as needed. My currency is going to be US dollar, and my main rate type will be used, which is the US dollar. And you will be assigning, if you so desire to use this system, you will assign cashiers. And in this case, I just used my name again. I'm the entrusted cashier. You have a start date and an entrusted to date. You will be able to allow a negative balance because of my financial background. I would not elect to do that myself. You can set a cash limit. 50,000 is pretty up there for a cash limit, but my initial balance for opening a petty cash account in General Ledger is set to 10,000. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, okay, petty cash, why would I do this? You know, we only have a petty cash balance of maybe 1,000, and we certainly don't need this for the size of our company. And I'd like to point out, this would be, you know, in an organization where you have a large, basis for using petty cash in this manner. So this is not, a have to or must do. This is something that you elect to do because you think it'll work well for your company. And as with so many other things within the system, you need to set up an authorized user. In this case, I made myself an authorized user. I can have additional authorized users. And the authority that I've given myself is that I can do cash issues and cash receipts and close cash days. Now, I just wanted to select something to show you the type of functionality you have through the petty cash management and through the petty cash desk. And that is, you can actually issue cash to your supplier in the form of a prepayment. And it's just adding more functionality, more ways to do a prepayment. We know there's several ways of doing that in the ERP system. The transaction type document, which I need to link to this, is the petty cash issue. There's also the petty cash receipt as well that you can do. And this is just one example of a lot of different things you could do through this system. And as you can see here, it is enabled. So I just wanted to show on my next slide that you do have the association of the petty cash desk with a control type. And for us accounting types, we like those control accounts. And so I have my petty cash desk associated with a control type of P cash for the petty cash desk. And then I have in turn associated my GL account 10.10 for cash, which when I reconcile my petty cash account, whether it's daily or monthly, I will go ahead and, want to make sure I maintain that balance of $10,000 in petty cash of all times. So we are going to move along now to our GL transaction type maintenance. A lot of folks kind of go, ugh, when they hear about posting rules and transaction types and don't even want to go there. This is not for the faint at heart type of individuals. This is something that you would probably have your controller, your financial manager, coupled with your IT people to take a look at this when you're ready. But it is an added enhancement with the posting rules customizations, and now they've added new sheets so you can take a look at what you have for your base posting rules as well as what do I have for my customizations. So this is going to allow for configuring the customization part of the posting rules. And I have a note at the bottom of the slide here that says the rules customization part is not a different rule, but an integral part of existing posting rules, which remains intact. I think that's just very important to note that, because it can get confusing with updates, right? So you're upgrading from 10.2.100 to 10.2 200, and well, what about those posting rules that I customized? What's going to happen with that? And you have a fear that maybe it's going to distort or somehow interfere with your your basic posting rules. Well, you don't need to worry about that because we've got that taken care of for you. So with the GL transaction type maintenance, and the way that you get there is you go to Financial Management, General Ledger, Setup, GL transaction type. You open that up, and then you're going to get a list of all the different things. There's a grid view if you haven't been out there, and it lists all the different areas where you can go out and look at your base posting rules, your standard or extended posting rules, and work with those. If you want to drill down, which I have done in this case just for example's sake, you go to the revision tab, okay, and then from there you want to go to your book, then you go to your booking rules, and then operations. And that's how you get down to looking at your base posting rules and your customization. So in this case, I've highlighted the post advanced billing amount as deferred revenue. So you might want to tweak that, make some kind of change to that. It's all based on how you want to run your business and what you're using for your best practices. But the concern is always during an ERP update, what's going to happen if I have done some customization? Well, during your update, only the base part of the posting rule is going to be replaced with the update. So you don't have to worry about the customization portion. Unmodified core posting rules are going to be available, and they will be upgraded regardless of whether you make changes to the customized part. So you really don't have to be concerned. You can be confident that everything there will be updated as it should be. And when you have the modified posting rules, and I say base posting rules because what you do is when you do a customization, you're just modifying your base. You're not creating a whole brand new customization. So those rules will not be changed. They will not be updated with the release. And when you want to go ahead and, make a copy of your posting rules, you can go up to the action menu, and both the customized parts or posting rules will be copied as a whole. So you'll be able to do that. And this gets a little in depth when it comes to all these posting rules. I just wanted to touch on it, that there are some new features, there are some things, just to make your life a little bit easier if you are going out and doing customization to your posting rules. So basically that's what I wanted to cover with you today, just a high-level overview. And I'm going to turn this back over to Mr. Steve Burns, and I want to thank you for attending today.
Great. Thanks, Linda. I'll just take this back. Excellent. Thanks, everybody. And we did have a couple of questions come in, and I thought, Linda, would you care to field a couple of questions this morning?
Sure.
All right, just a couple came in. First one was, can I reconcile petty cash other than monthly, i.e. quarterly, other time frames where you can reconcile?
Yes, you can actually reconcile it whenever you care to. However, the best practice, of course, would be to reconcile it when you do your other monthly or period end reconciliations in your financial modules. Good. So that would be my recommendation, to do it monthly.
Okay, great. And last question, how do I deal with issues arising from customizations to the posting rules?
Okay, so let's say that you've set up some customizations and you've run into, something that was introduced, that isn't working correctly, so you're a little bit nervous and you need to look at it. You can choose the customization enabled checkbox and disable it. And that way you can go ahead and diagnose what's going on with that. And then, once you've taken a look at it and you fix whatever the problem is, you can go ahead and re-enable it.
Great. Thanks, Linda. I want to thank everyone for joining us. This is an ongoing webinar series that we've been doing for some time now, and certainly appreciate everyone's joining these. We see lots of repeat folks coming back, so thank you. You can join us on our next webinar coming up on Wednesday, September 19th, where we will review part costing in Epicor ERP 10.2, standard costing and cost rollup. And there's a whole list of upcoming webinars out on our website at www.crawford-software.com. And you will see our YouTube channel here. And everybody that came today will get a link to the YouTube. This will be up in 48 hours or so for your viewing. So again, if there's no other questions, I want to thank Linda Ballard. And on behalf of everyone at Crawford Software, I want to thank you for joining us today and hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.